What's up, guys? It's Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be looking at Johnny Manziel's throwing mechanics. Say what you want about this guy. I think he's one of the greatest college quarterbacks, greatest college players of all time, and today we're just going to look at his motion. We're going to look at three phases of his motion. We're going to look at him, probably one of his more recent throws first. We're going to look at a couple throws, or a throw when he was at the Cleveland Browns, and then a throw when he was in the Canadian League, okay? So hope this gives you guys some values, especially you shorter quarterbacks, just giving you insight on another motion that you guys can look at, okay? And again, guys, if you want me to take a look at your throwing mechanics, check out that link in the description that says submit your film for a throwing mechanics breakdown. Hope to get you guys on my website soon. I'll break down your film just like how I'm breaking down Johnny's mechanics right now. Hope to get you guys on that soon. So number one here, we're going to be looking at, this is probably his most recent throw. This was him working at a pro day. This might have been the most recent one, or the CFL one might have been the most recent one. I'm honestly not 100% sure on that. But this is pretty recent film. This is not from him at his days at A&M. So we're going to talk about his backstroke with the ball, how he's in his opposite equal position, and then his hip drive, okay? We can't really see too much about foot strike, but also we're going to focus on that front knee here, okay? So when he takes this ball back, you see how he's in this opposite, almost like L position right here, and his front arm is doing the same, right? They call that opposite equal, right? Now, you see how he's not lifting this ball directly to 90. I cannot stress that enough, but he does get up to 90. Now, how he gets up to 90 is through his hips. His hips and his core drive is what supports this motion, right? That's the thing that I want to get all quarterbacks off of this. When you push off of this back leg, you can kind of tell by the way his knee is angled here that that's where he's pushing off of. So let's rewind it. He's pushing first, and we're going to see that in the last clip, how the back leg starts the motion. And you see his front leg, when it gets in the ground, he's got to bend to it, right? He's throwing a deep ball, deep fade here, so we got to make sure that I'm able to produce ground force and keep that ground force with a slight bend in my front knee, okay? But also have a nice tight mechanics here. So now he opens up this front arm a little bit soon, but as long as he lets his hips do the work and he keeps that front shoulder square, he doesn't drop this arm or he doesn't swing this shoulder way around him and let his shoulders rotate him, he lets his hips do it, he's going to have torque on the throw, right? So you see how he's here, gets the front foot down, and when he starts to rotate up with his hip, that's what brings him up to this 90-degree angle, right? You get a really good angle here of how when his hip comes through, that's what brings his arm up. So he gets to that L, and his hip brings him up to that 90-degree angle. Now, that front arm matters too. Usually, I would like the front arm to be a little bit tighter, maybe a little bit more, that front shoulder maybe a little bit more closed, right? Usually, I would like that in this situation, but we're going to talk about when he finishes, you see how he tucks that arm and he still finishes square, right? That's how he's able to keep torque, okay? But I would like, and I think he'd probably be one to tell you that he opens up this shoulder a little bit too soon, which causes less power on the ball, but it still gets there, obviously, because he's got great hip drive, great ground force production, keeping a bend of that front knee, pushing off of that back leg. You could tell by his shin angle and letting his hips do the work and bring the ball through, right? And he's finishing with that right shoulder on it. Now, I get this question asked a lot, this back leg. Should this back leg stay in the ground or should it come off the ground? Now, you see how his front leg is straight? When you maybe extend on that front leg or you maybe straighten it, I don't want to say extend because extend's like kind of a negative word where you maybe go heel toe. He had a good foot strike, but when you kind of pop up on that front leg, this back leg tends to come up out of the ground too, right? Okay, so if we could try to maybe keep a slighter bend on the front leg and really just dragging this back foot, keeping my cleats connected to the ground because that's where you're going to produce force. You're going to produce it from the ground. I think he'd have maybe a little bit more control on it, but honestly though, it's one of those things where, personally speaking, I'm not a big guy with my quarterbacks. I'm not a big, you have to keep the back leg in the ground. But I think the main thing about keeping the back leg is it just provides for control. So if he locks out on this leg and then this leg's swinging around and he's falling off balance to the left, I think it's a problem, right? So if you do bring your back leg out of the throw and you have an issue with balance on the finish, if you're falling out of the throw constantly or your front foot is constantly pointing just in the opposite direction and we end up pushing the ball a lot, I would work on trying to keep your back leg connected to the grass, dragging that back leg, pivot, and then drag, okay? So that's just how I feel about the back leg. Let's watch this throw again one more time. So again here, let the hips do the work, the hips swing the ball through, and then you see the result. That's a great throw here by Johnny. So he's going to be on the left. We're just going to talk about his follow-through on a touch pass, okay, and how this is important for shorter guys from the pocket. This is very casual throw. His feet aren't quick. In a game scenario, his feet would be quick, but he gets set here now. I want you to talk about this release, right? Same idea as we were talking about before. You see how he's pushing off that back leg, front leg's down with the bend, and now his hip's starting to come through. Hip is starting to bring him to that 90-degree angle. Now, when we're throwing with touch, right, guys, the bottom half does not change, right? You pop up a little bit because my hip drive is going up rather than around, but the bottom half initially does not change. I still want to have a strong base, right? I still want to drive. I still want to have my front foot with a bend. Now, the thing that changes here and why the ball goes up is that follow through. You see how his follow through's up in the air and his hips are coming up, which is going to cause this to have this nice little arc. A lot of people ask me, how do I throw with touch? How can I get better at throwing with touch? It's about keeping a strong base, but letting your hips go up and letting your follow through be up in the air, almost like you're shooting free throws. Now, I think he could throw this thing a little bit, like his release could be a little bit higher, but because his hip drive is coming up, it causes for this ball to have a nice trajectory and for it to drop up and over. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. I hope that helps you guys with touch throws, but just make sure that I'm getting my hip drive to go up and over, and my follow-through is up in the air, just like I'm throwing darts, or shooting free throws, and then we could go up and have him go up and get this ball, okay? Go above the rim for it. That's how we get it. That's how we throw some touch, maybe a goal line fade. Got to make sure my feet pop quick to the throw. I keep a bend in my front leg so I don't come up short, because a lot of people do. Let my hips go up and let my follow-through be up in the air. Let's watch it again one more time, full speed. So he's coming here. Follow through up in the air. Just give my guy something, give my guy a chance and up top. Okay, so now this is we're going to talk about progressions here. We're going to talk about his back leg making the throw and why this throw he might have lost a little bit of pop, because we're going to talk about that front arm again. Okay, so let's watch this full speed. So when he goes through progressions, a couple of things I want you guys to watch. How his feet are tied to his eyes. Wherever his eyes go, his feet follow. And then on this throw, how it's right in stride, and we give our guy a chance in the end zone, how he throws this thing on a line, but we're going to talk about how he might lose a little bit of power on this thing. Okay, so when he's dropping back here, he's taking this 5-step drop. I want you to look where his eyes are. Where his eyes are is where his feet go, right? So you're tying your feet to your eyes. You want to pretend there's a string from your eyes all the way down to your feet. And wherever you go, wherever you move your eyes, whatever progression you got, your feet are going to follow, because that's how we get the ball out quick. So now he's ready to throw this thing. You could see how his back leg is what starts this throw, because you see how he's pushing. He's pushing here. A lot of people think, I just got to step and their back leg does not move, right? I think this comes a lot from Manziel's baseball background, that he has such a good push out that back leg. I see so many quarterbacks that don't actually push. They'll just come here and they step. They just try to step with that front leg and their back leg just stays flat, right? And then they don't have enough ground force. They're not producing any ground force. And if your base is wide, you're really not going to have any power, because the whole point of a wide base is so you can push, right? So that stride length comes down quick. So he's pushing here, not there. Look where his eyes, so his eyes are here, feet are here. Eyes go left, feet go left. Push again. Eyes go left again, feet go left again. And now he's ready to make this throw. But again, you could see on this second throw here how much he's pushing, but because you see how he's narrow, right, his feet are kind of close together, that stride gets a little bit long, right? I would like to already be in this nice wide base right here, feet just outside my shoulders, so I could drive and really get that front foot down right now, okay? And you see how his release is a little bit longer when he has that long stride. Now, let's look at the actual throw here. His base is a little bit better, but when he takes this ball down, you see how he's kind of reaching out with that front arm. When he reaches out here, he's separating rather than keeping this front shoulder closed. I think he could do a better job of keeping this front shoulder closed. And now let's talk about it, because on the throw here, he's going to be swinging that front shoulder, right? And you see, it's not as much hip drive as maybe the throw we were looking at first, because you see how his shoulder is swinging him here and his release is getting outside of his frame to the right? Now, if he could keep that front shoulder closed a little bit longer, and obviously he's not going to be able to think about this in a game. This is something that's going to take reps, going to take time. But if he keeps that front shoulder closed right now and lets that hip do the work, and he keeps that front leg bent like how he struck the ground, because he's got such great push, it's going to be way more consistent for him. But because he leans out of the throw, you see this thing comes outside of his frame here, and look at the way he finishes. His toe is facing to the left, which is going to cause the ball to come out here, especially when I'm trying to throw to my right side. We never want to finish, guys, where I start like this and my left shoulder ends up behind me, because I'm losing torque, and you see how he pops up on that front leg. It's all connected, right? If I'm not consistent with my upper half, if I don't have some upper half discipline and I swing it open, my front leg has got to lock out, because my knee can't take all that pressure of my body opening up, right? And then I'm going to end up having my body face to the left while I'm trying to throw back to the right, and it's going to push my follow through, okay? But again, this is not something you could think about in a game, right? So I know it's detail, and I'm sure I'm willing to bet you money that he probably knows this. Him and his quarterback coach have gone over this before, but it's just one of those things where it's going to take some reps. It's going to take some time in the off season to work that, right? So I don't know how much he had been working, but if we could keep that, for you quarterbacks, if we could keep my shoulder on the target almost as long as possible, get a backstroke, keep my front shoulder locked, and let my hips do the work, not swing open, have more control, more velocity, and more pop on this ball. But again, you see this ball was not a bad ball. It was in a great spot, gave my guy a chance, guy made a great play on this thing. That's all we got to do. And this thing was on a line. How far of a throw was this, right? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, like about 45 yards just on a line. That's a dot. And imagine he could get even more with a little bit better mechanics and a little bit more torque. Okay, let's watch this thing full speed one more time. So coming out here, eyes, tying his feet to his eyes, drive, get this ball out. Initial foot strike was good. Just got to keep that front shoulder closed. Don't lock out with that leg. All right, guys, I really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope Manziel tries to make a comeback. I mean, I don't know if he's still working out or whatever he's doing, but I know I was a big fan. I know he has some issues. Say what you want about him, but just one of the best players in college. And guys, please leave in the comments any questions you guys have. I'll make sure to get back to you, and I'll see you guys next time.